Hello, everybody. This is Small Talk with DVOTED. I'm your host, DVOTED, and this chat this evening is with Jason Stephenson, who is a guided meditation teacher who has a astronomical following. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, Derek. It's good to have this chat with you, mate. This small talk.
That's right. Yeah, I chose small talk simply to just embrace humility, man. It's like, don't sweat the small things. They're all small things,
Yeah.
sort of concept behind that. So
I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what the deal was there. I wanted to mention to the viewers we are actually listening to Jason Stephenson's track, which is 432 hertz. It's called Healing Music, which is
Nice.
at said frequency. So, I just wanted to mention a bit about my introduction to Jason. I was street performing on Hollywood Boulevard, and I was having a really rough day. This was about 2 years ago, 2018, and Jason just happens to waltz into my life, and man, was I having a hard day. Just dealing with the toughness of Hollywood, man, and just being a solo independent artist, just making my money from the ground up every day. And here comes Jason, and he just calmed me down, and what was crazy about it to me was that I was just like, I was over the top, man. I was pretty upset, and you just leveled me out, man. You hooked me up, for that day, which was I was just so appreciative of that, and and then we had exchanged info, thankfully, and I got in touch with him when I was going through a hard time at the university, and he has just been a godsend in my life, man. He has helped me with business tips, and I've tried to just mutually exchange everything that I can with him. But the Patreon that he's been, for me has just been undying, man. It's really amazing. I really appreciate and I'm so honored and privileged to be doing this with you right now. So.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I remember that day. And can I be honest, Derek? I actually forgot that day. I'd forgotten that until you just mentioned it. And honestly, I remember that day very well. And I guess because I also saw myself, in my old performing days, and especially difficult days of not making much money and just hoping, because I did some busking and sometimes it'd be really damn tough. You'd have awful days and you'd wonder what the hell it's all about, and you just gather up your stuff and then lug it back home, and I guess I just picked it up, and I knew that you were having a rough day. You let me know it, right? And so glad that we just connected that day, and you gave me your details and looked you up on Facebook, and bingo, here we are a few years later, man.
Yeah. I'm so exalted, man, that you just kept that connection alive, man. We've had some really amazing in-depth conversations over the past 2 years, and namaste to you, brother. I was surprised, that you continued to connect with me, man, because like I said, when I was, I can't remember all the details of that day, but man, I just was not having it, And I just remember sitting there talking to you for like 10 or 15 minutes, and you were just like, there, mate, you know. It's gonna be all right, you know. I could probably be a Jason Stephenson impersonator, you know. Just saying, man. Like, what do they say? Imitation is the world's greatest form of flattery. So you're welcome.
Keep practicing, mate. Keep practicing.
Here we are. This is Jason Stephenson.
No, keep practicing, man.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. There's only one you, brother, and thank God for that, man. You are a, you know, real asset, a real enthusiastic, you know, soul, man. I mean, your means of serendipity and your magnanimous gestures in the world are just, you know, endlessly appreciated, man. You know, by all of your followers, and I mean, you're just an amazing person, man. It's a real blessing to have you in my life.
Thanks, man. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, man.
Yeah. So tell me a little, you know, tell the viewers a bit about yourself, man. Like, you know, about your, you know, your childhood, your hopes and dreams, you know.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, this whole meditation thing is so far removed from, although when I think about it, no, maybe it's not so far removed. If I reflect back to my childhood, I was always, I will tell you, I was always the peacekeeper. In fact, I was sometimes called Mr. Switzerland by some of my friends, because they always said, you never take sides, man. You never take sides. And anyway, yeah, I remember always sticking up for if someone was getting bullied. I never liked to see people being hurt. And although I wasn't a fighter, I would do my best to stand up for that person and console that person and let them know their value. And that was before I knew anything. You know, I was just this little tiny kid, but I'd be just like, you're okay, you're going to be okay. You know, it's all going to be okay. Like you saw me in that day, you know, exactly like that. But yeah, so there was always some sort of peace that I wanted, and it's maybe that peace that I had. And I spent a lot of time on my own. I've loved my own company for the most part. And so it's interesting. It was kind of a struggle because my brothers, who I love dearly, you know, and they always had massive amounts of friends come over, and I didn't. And I was confused. It was like I wanted to be on my own, and yet I was confused as to, I think, why have they got so many friends? Like, you know, and I'd always have one or two close friends. That's all I ever had, just one or two close friends. But I realize now, Derek, that it's just a part of who I was, and that just seeing that I was different from other people, it was kind of strange, because I'm thinking, they got that many, why haven't I got that many? But in reality is, I didn't want that many. I loved my own company. I can still remember sitting in my bedroom, being the most comfortable, looking out the window, watching the rainfall, and being at peace with that, and just really, really just being happy in my own space. So in some ways, maybe, you know, that was leading me to that. But I also had a passion for singing, and that's from when I was, you know, yay big. I sang and was begging.
I'm so glad you're speaking on that. Go on.
Yeah, like I was begging my parents. My parents are were both musicians, and yet they never wanted to push me. So they just would always sort of stay back. And I was begging them to take me to lessons. I wanted to learn to sing. I wanted to learn to act and all this stuff. And eventually they gave in. They said, okay, take him to lessons. And then when I started singing, that's when I found something that that I just absolutely loved, and it was a huge release for me, and so much, it gave me so much joy, from my early, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year, right through to 35 years of age. So to be honest with you, I'd always wanted to be, and I always thought I would be, an artist, a singing artist, whether that be in shows, but it just never happened. I got close many times. I got close to it breaking in, and then things had happened, and the opportunity would fall away, or the funding would go, and eventually I just realized that I gave up for a while. I knew I wasn't giving up, but I put it aside and just said, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I've had enough of this. And so I just pushed it aside. In my heart, I knew that I was never giving up. I thought, no, I'm not giving up. It's there, but I just have to push it aside for now. So I know I've answered that question. It's been a bit of a long answer, but
no. That
yeah.
I don't think that answer was long enough. No.
Yeah.
No, truly though, man. I mean, that just sparks so much emotion in me, because you know me well, my artistry, as a hip hop artist and vocalist as well, and you and I have connected in those regards, because we're both so passionate about that, part of our life, man, and for me, and you've seen, no matter how high or low I've been, or wherever I'm at, I just keep it pushing, man, because that's where I want to be, and I'm so grateful that I found, this medium, and I have you to thank for that, and as a piece of the pie, man, because you've just inspired me in so many ways, and this small talk with Devoted thing, man, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and it's just come so gracefully, so I know that this is where I'm supposed to be, in this moment in time and space, literally and figuratively,
It's good, man. It's good. So good to see that and to hear that. I can actually sense that. I sense that this is where you're meant to be, interestingly enough.
Yeah, I would like to, beef up my platform, so to speak, and I run on spiritual currency. I'm like you like that, Jason, whatever I get, I want to give back, man, because they say that it takes a community to make somebody, for me, it's taken several metropolitans. So I got a lot of, payouts back, man, to many people that have, made me the, what I would like to think, solid man, So.
Yeah. Well, you're on your way, man. That's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
So tell me a bit about your community advocacy, man, and or I mean, it would seem to me that you have a think globally, act locally mentality, even though you have the means to act globally. I mean, you're just so humble and so disciplined and so diligent in your walk, man. Break it down for me, brother.
Man, there's nothing too small, that no act too small that we can give, and doesn't matter how big everything appears to be or how big it seems to get or whatever. Let me tell you something. I take great joy in when I was back at Windang in my little hometown. And sometimes if I had some spare cash in my wallet, all I would do is I say to the shopkeeper, I'd just say, look, because I buy a cup of coffee every morning, right? And all I'd say is just, here's, just pay for two, and can you please just use your intuition and give it to someone who might need a coffee, that wants a coffee, and shout them, and just say, don't tell them, just say someone's paid for it for you. So, and so it was those small things. And I walked out of there, and I will tell you something about that actually. I'd been doing it, and they would usually report to me the next day, the shopkeeper, and say, you made someone's day, rah, 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 rah. And I'd say, oh, fantastic, that's so good. One day, apparently they must have told this particular girl, they just went, because she come in and she got it. I used to say, give it to the next customer. She come in twice or three times, and every time she was the next customer. And she just apparently said, like, what's going on? Who is this? And anyway, one time I was in the shop, and apparently they've pointed me out. And so I didn't know this. And the next minute she turns to me, and I was about to pay for my coffee. And she says, no, I've got that. And I said, sorry. And she said, I've got that. And she said, I know, you've bought me coffee. And I'm like, really? And I was like, oh my. And she says, thank you. I said, oh my God, that is so beautiful. I said, thank you so much. So it was just that small act, Derek, that was returned to me, and I didn't expect it. And so it's the smaller acts in life, the smaller acts of giving. And to me, that means more to me than anything. That's what makes the world go round. Those small acts of kindness. And so nothing's too small, nothing at all. Yeah.
A lot of my life, I've often told people, I'm in this world, I'm not of this world. I've ran on spiritual currency most of my life, man. I would like to manifest, comfortability in the physical realm, because
yes.
I'm a linguist. I like to, and I'm ultra spiritual as well. So I like to just, clear a desk and bust out, 18 different books, man, and just go to town. That's just real.
You hold on to that, man, because that will. I swear to God, it's those thoughts. I swear to God, if I reflect back on my life, and I know that will happen. Like if even just in you saying that in passing, it has so much power. I know it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
can I just tell you, like I always said, as I said, I was broke for, most of my life until about 45. But I always remember, it was almost like a joke, and I'd say to people, I'd say, by the time I'm 50, I'm going to be living the life of a millionaire. And they'd just say, get your head out of the clouds. Like, come on. I just said, no. And mate, I'm not a millionaire, of course, but I'm living the life of a millionaire. I'm living a most beautiful life. And so I had no idea that I was actually, every time I was saying that, I was planting the seed. I could have probably said, by the time I'm 40 or 30, I'm living the life of a millionaire. And maybe I'd be, But yeah, it was an affirmation that I didn't even know was an affirmation, but there you go.
Yeah, you were seeding the universal domain.
Yeah.
As you know, I've told you I'm in 12-step recovery, have been faithfully for over a decade, over a third of my life at this point.
That's amazing, man.
And in that, and thank you. I've come to understand that the writing of the 12 steps and writing in general, because writing is what I do, that it brings about what's in your subconscious into your consciousness. It manifests destiny, quite literally.
Yes.
Deepak Chopra had said, that he coined the term synchrodestiny, which is manifesting your destiny in real time. I remember on Christmas, you and I were talking, and I had I've lived out of my van for the past year, pre-pandemic. Thankfully, I landed, for and I have intentions to lighten up on my transient ways, but I totally lost my train of thought there. I'm so sorry.
You have to apologize, mate. I do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, no, we were talking on Christmas, and I just remember, you would ask me, you were like, well, if you had somewhere to go, would you do it? And I'm like, well, only if it's, better than the situation that I'm in now, because life is what you make it. It's like, Dr. Wayne Dyer said, and when the way you look at things change, the things that you look at change.
Yes.
Perception is reality, right?
I love his work.
I love to just break down the observer's effect, man. It's just.
In fact, that's right here. Change your thoughts, change your life.
Nice. Yeah. No, I have that on Audible. I have a hard copy as well, man. I love the 88 verses, man. They're amazing.
Yes. It's one of my favorite books, mate. It's one of my favorite books.
Yeah, verse 21, man. Living the elusive paradox. That is the basis of my life.
I'll be reading that.
Check that out. Welcome to synchronicity.
Yeah.
Just no stone unturned. Yeah. So tell us a bit about Jason Stephenson, the guided meditation teacher, man, the spiritual Mongol.
Who is that man? Who is that? It's interesting, when that question comes up about, tell us about who you are, or every time, Derek, that changes, and I re-ask myself again and again, like, who am I? I don't.
Good. That's great.
When I first started, I was getting interviews, and I used to almost like rattle off this parrot fashion thing, and I got so tired of it, and I thought, this is not who I am. I'm not that, that's conditioned, and it's just trying to put myself into a box. So can I just share just a story of how it all come about, really?
Please.
Because I almost say that I'm the accidental meditation instructor. This wasn't planned. This was not planned. Maybe it was a part of the grand plan, but I didn't see that. And I had some minor interest in meditation in my early 20s, and when I was going to counseling, and my counselor suggested, you need some meditation. I was going through some rough times and screwed up and angry, and so that was my first taste of it, but it didn't sort of cling on to me. But it was the real time that really clinged on to me was when I was attending a monastic retreat in the Buddhist temple, a 10-day spiritual monastic retreat, strict monastic, no talking, 2 meals a day, hair shaved off, robes, the full works. And I was in for a little bit of a shock for that, because I didn't realize how hard that would be for me, of the not talking and not being able to express myself, and just the anger started to come up for me. Actually, that's what it was. It was anger that come up for me. And so I was furious. The first 3 days of that retreat, I was furious. It was like surfacing, because you can't run from it. And because you're meditating all the time and just sitting there, I was blaming external circumstances. I was blaming the Buddhists. I was saying, what are they doing here with all these rules? And this is BS. It's so crap. Who do they think they are? Like, I was lashing out at anything and anyone just because it gave me the chance to reflect inside of what was already within. And there was a lot of anger. And even to the point, I remember there was one guy that was standing beside of me every morning, and about the third or fourth morning, it was early on in the time, we couldn't communicate. But you know when in life you get used to some sort of system and you're comfortable with the system, like it was just simple lining up. Out of all this mess of meditation and goodness knows what, he was standing there every morning. And so I started to think, okay, there's some routine here. He's standing there every morning. The next day he left. And I was furious again. Like, I want to get out of here. How can he leave? Because we were told once you start, you can't leave. They made that very clear. You cannot, if you commit to this, you have to stay to this. And he was my one, like I was like, almost like a life raft. I felt like it was a comfort. He went. And so then I was on my own, and then it was like, whoop, back to myself. And it wasn't until about day 4 of this retreat when I got these moments of peace. And I can still remember lining up at 6:30 in the morning, sun coming up over the mountains. And for the first time in possibly my life, or possibly many, many years, I was there in that moment, not wanting, not desiring, not just being. And this wave of peace just washed over me. Like I was watching the sun come up, and I was just like, whoa, like, wow, this is so beautiful. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of more and more. I'm not saying that happened all the time, that intense feeling, but I began to understand that the act of simply being in the moment. And it was that 10 days changed my life. I went back to work. I worked with people with disabilities at that time. And, that used to be full on too, because there was a lot of behavioral problems and challenges and people yelling and screaming. And that sometimes was hard. But I remember walking back into that job, and everything was still the same, but I was different inside. And so when I didn't react, and I was just like, okay, yeah, we can deal with that. And it literally changed my life. It changed the way I looked at things. And I wasn't reacting as much. And I was just like, okay, we can deal with this. And of course, when you're like that, when you don't react, it brings everyone else down as well. Like, oh, everyone's... So yeah. So then I went on to do a children's meditation CD called I Believe in Me. And I did that for the reason I wanted kids from a very young age to really believe in themselves, no matter who they were, no matter what they did, that they're valuable. I just wanted them to know that, because I thought maybe if they know that, then they won't grow up to be as angry as what I was. So I thought I'll get them while they're young. They can, maybe I'll save a few while they're very young and don't have to be as angry. And so then that went on, and I ended up doing adult meditations and on YouTube, and then that's it. I've been doing that now since 2013. 7 years now. So accidental meditation instructor. And through doing those meditations, though, when you commit to teaching meditation and stuff, it forces you to meditate yourself. But there's no escaping it. I have to do it. Because when people ask you questions, and this is how it started at the start, people would ask me questions in the early days, and this is when I was only doing a recording here and there, and I just thought, yeah, I can get by on this. This is cool. Then they'd start asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. I haven't meditated long enough to know that. And I'm like, maybe I better start doing a bit more meditation. And so that's what this has led to. It's been a gift for me to use it myself, day after day after day, to immerse myself in the whole process. Yeah.
So, what was it like, man, when you just one day woke up or what have you and saw that your one of your meditations on your channel just skyrocketed?
Yeah, man. It was strange because I kept getting these emails of someone subscribed to your channel, Now, at first they were only coming in, one every 3 days, and I just go, oh, that's cool. And then it kept happening time and time, and then it was like 5 a day and then 10 a day, and I'm like, hold on a minute, what is going on? And so I checked it out, and it was one meditation that had liftoff, and I was like, you're kidding me. Like, and I looked at the views, and it was like, it could have been, I don't know what it was, it could have been 50, 100 views a day, 200 views a day. But I was just like, those numbers were huge for me. And I was like, you're kidding me? Like, what's going on here? And I knew then that there was a demand for it, and that people wanted this. And so I thought, I need to do more. I need to do more of this. I can't, if these people want it, I need to do more of this. And so, yeah, it was pretty exciting. It was exciting.
Is it hard for you to differentiate your job as a meditation teacher from your own personal meditation? Is there a start or end to that regimen?
Yeah, so you're basically saying in terms of my practice of meditation and spilling over into my work sort of thing?
Yeah, like I'll give you a case in point example, because like there are people, in 12-step recovery that work as, addiction counselors and stuff like that. And they can be very tricky realms, the darkness of the universe or whatnot, can snatch you up at any time or any place, regardless of how vigilant you are, it's more or less, so I'm just curious.
It's a good question, man. It's a very good question. And this is it's a really beautiful thing, because I'm challenged. I've been quite challenged recently, actually, the last weeks, and like many people have been challenged with what's going on. And but this is the beautiful thing about it, is that for me to keep doing meditation and to keep sharing the information and everything, I've begun to realize that people look up to me, right? Whether I like that or not, people are coming to me, or not even look up to me, maybe that's the wrong word, but coming to me for some peace and peace of mind. And if I swing off the handle on the other side, which I have done sometimes, and I recognize that, and people have even told me on my personal Facebook page, people look up to you, Jason. It's irresponsible of you to say that or to do that on your page. And that's hard sometimes, Derek. That's really hard sometimes, man, because I'm doing the best I can, but I falter and fall, like we all falter and fall, and we get back up. But at the same time, I say it's hard. It's also a beautiful blessing, because It means that I continually have work to do on myself. And that's all it is. It's a reminder for me that I'm human, and whilst I'm here on this planet, I still got to continue on my journey and continue to do the work. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be in this position. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your channels and you know, the status quo of them, if you will.
Yeah, well, I've got the Jason Stephenson sleep meditation music, and that's specifically sleep meditation music, and also guided meditations before sleep that people put on, and they can drift off to sleep. So that's the spoken meditations. And I will say that channel did not start off as a sleep meditation channel at all. It was just, I put up regular meditations, what ended up happening was, way back about 5-6 years ago, I realized I put up one meditation before sleep, and that's what people wanted. And I thought, okay, so people want more, they want to calm their mind before they sleep. And so that's when I got very specific then and started to do all the meditations to do with sleep. And then the other one was a binaural beats channel originally. It's called Binaural Beats Drugs. And because I had a fascination with binaural beats and putting them on and going down into theta states of mind, and so I thought, I would like to start a channel like this, you know, and so I began to do that and get into that, and then that sort of didn't work, and then I changed it recently to chakra healing music because I was getting into more of frequencies to do with the chakra and healing, and then launched this channel. So that's what I've got. And of course I got Little Life Expansion, which is my little interview channel, which it's kind of an interview, but I do live streams on it now, live meditations currently at the moment. So they're the three channels, all different in size and scope, but yeah.
Pangea. Your interview channel, what is the basis of that? What are you doing with that?
Right now, what I'm doing with that is I live stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Was an interview channel. I haven't done an interview for a while now, but I do live stream meditations there. They're only short. They're like 10-15 minute guided meditations. Sometimes we even sit in silence. It's simply just to connect with people. I use that for a connection, to connect on a more intimate level, the live stream, because I can see comments, you know, at the side happening straight away, and I can answer some of those comments. So yeah, that goes out alongside Facebook as well. So I do Facebook and YouTube live stream direct, bang. Yeah, it's
nice.
It's been going good. Smaller crowds, but smaller, but more involved and more
intimate,
committed, more active. Yeah.
Do you who are some of the people that you draw inspiration from in a spiritual sense or otherwise? Feel free to expound upon that.
Yeah, well, one that we've definitely talked about was Wayne Dyer. I love his work. I love all of his work. And another man for meditation stuff, in fact, I've got his book here, is John Kabat-Zinn. Oh my goodness, like his work, and in fact, this is one of his books, Wherever You Go, There You Are.
Yeah.
And
that's a famous statement.
Yeah, like I love his work. It's so simple, but it's so profound. And another one, Full Catastrophe Living, is another one of his brilliant books. So they're my heroes. And also a gentleman by the name of Neville Goddard. I don't know if you know that gentleman. He's passed on now, but he's another, just writes amazing stuff. And of course, Alan Watts. I love Alan Watts's work, and Ram Dass. So I've got this eclectic mix of people that I like. Grab bits and pieces from, right?
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because leading into the next question that I was going to ask you is, spiritually speaking, are you religion specific, or are you eclectic? Do you what is your concept or lack thereof of a power greater than yourself, or perhaps God, as it were?
Yeah. That's another good question, and that sometimes is often changed for me over the years.
I had to hit you with the whammy there, man.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I first went to Sunday school, and I wasn't pushed to go to that. In fact, my mum and dad sort of never went to church, and they just sort of think, why is Jay going? What is he doing? But he wants to go, so let him go. And so I always had some interest in something greater than myself. And then, I attended Christianity for a while, and then stopped going, and then years later went back. And then there's just some things that just don't fit with me sometimes that I hear in terms of Christianity. And I'm not here, I don't want to condemn it, and I don't even prefer not to go into it. But I then, at the same time, I was attending the Buddhist Nantian temple. And so I was going to church sometimes and attending the temple, and eventually I started to get confused. And I went to a reverend at the temple and I said, look, this is what's happening at the moment. I'm attending the church on Sundays, I'm coming here, and I said, I'm really beginning to get confused as to who I'm looking up to. And anyway, she ended up saying to me, she said, Jason, I said, oh, that's right. I said to her, do I have to choose? Do I have to choose which one I belong to? And she said to me, Jason, she said, you don't have to choose. She said, if you learn something from here and you want to take that and share that with anyone, then that's great. And then she said, and if you learn something from there, from the church, and you want to share that with people here, then that's okay. Unfortunately, though, the Christians did not have that viewpoint. And I can remember them saying to me one day, this particular minister, anyway, I won't go on about Christians because we're all different, right? But this one minister said, that if you don't bring people along to church, then what you're doing is it's like the Titanic. They're holding out their hand to be helped, and you're pulling your hand away and not helping them. And I'll never forget that. And that never sat well with me. And I thought, no, I kind of disagree with that, because I believe we all have our own path. And when we are ready to do things, we do it organically. We don't have to be forced or pushed or coerced. And so I realized after he said that, I thought, I'm not coming back. I don't want to go back there. That's finished. So now, here's the thing, though. I'm not a Buddhist either now. I'm not a Buddhist. I took some vows, the triple gem and some other things, but now I'm a spiritualist. I'm just a person. I know that there's a higher power. I know that we are all connected. In fact, we're God. We're complete. We're all one anyway. Like this spiritual hologram, that we have everything contained within. So we're all, without sounding egotistical, I think that we are all fragments of God, or complete, in fact, not just fragments. And that's my belief, but I'm not saying that from an ego point of view, that, I'm God and I'm powerful. It's nothing to do with that. It's a part of the creation. And so yes, I do believe in God.
Okay. That's thank you for sharing that. for me, I personally don't believe that humans can fathom God, and a big part of what I base that on is Albert Einstein said that he wanted to know the mind of God. He didn't suggest that he did. For me, God is fleeting. God is everything or God is nothing. There's an acronym that I use, goodwill over desire, which is, can be kind of tricky even in its implicacy of words, but that's been a very interesting journey for me, man. I've studied a lot of philosophy formally and informally, and tapped into a lot of contemporary spiritual teachers, as you hear me, express them. Rest in peace, Wayne Dyer. He's that man. Just I like Neil Donald Walsh a lot.
Oh, I love his work.
Man, Conversations with God. I mean, that book is just off the hook, man.
Yeah, once I read that, I'll never forget that. And interesting enough, I heard that some churches banned that, and I just thought, what on earth? Like, I found it a most powerful, beautiful book that was probably a big part of my healing process. And of course, then I read book 1, book 2, book 3, Communion with God, and I just kept going with his work. I love his work dearly, his connection with God. And I believe that that's what we all have. We have that connection.
Eckhart Tolle put it as being tapped into the evolutionary impulse of the universe, and I just love that. Tell us a bit about your formal education, Jason.
What formal education?
I thought you attended university for a time and such.
Yeah, I did. I attended university for 2 years. I dropped out. I'm more than happy to talk about that.
That's good stuff, man. Just give you a quick, stat in America. Only 1/3 of Americans, have a bachelor's degree, and the numbers are lower as you go up in, formal, higher education. So, nothing wrong with that, brother.
No, I started. I had no intention after a terrible schooling, which I really didn't learn anything from at all. I couldn't even take the subject that I loved. Like, I love music. Wouldn't even do that. And so I was very disappointed. I hated school, to be honest. Especially, I really disliked a lot of it. I wasn't happy. Wasn't a happy kid. So of course, the first chance I could get out of school, which I did at 16, and got work, then I was happy. Then my life began. Seriously, schooling. Anyway, I went to university as a mature age student. At age 29, I got in. And was really excited. I was doing Bachelor Creative Arts, but I ran into a little bit of a problem there, Derek, and it was the critique and the point scoring of arts. And sometimes I would sit back and I would see someone that would do brilliant work, and then the teacher would slam them down and say, "Terrible, what are you doing wrong?" Like, that was awful. And I'd be sitting there going, what did I just hear? And then when someone had some terrible work, which it's hard to judge that. You can't, it's objective, you can't judge that. Subjective, I got that right? So after the first year, I wanted to leave. After the first year, and I was doing well. I was getting good grades, they convinced me to stay on. They said, look, second year it gets better. I went into second year and it was even worse. And then I knew by the end of second year, and I only had one more year to go, but I knew I could not take one more year of it. And they said to me, but you've only got one more year, stay. And I just went, no way, it's finished, it's over. And so I left with a big debt. You know, I had a huge debt that I had to pay back. In fact, I've only just paid it off. How many years later? 17 years later, it took me to pay it off. And so so no degrees to show there. I've done a few certificates and stuff, but yeah.
No, you know, I mean, I've finished about 75%, 80% of my bachelor's, and you know, to me, higher education is such a political gamut. It's ridiculous. You know, how could I go from a recording arts and music business degree to you know, humanities and social sciences degree? Like, how does that even add up? You know, I mean, they're on the fringe of one another at best.
Yeah.
You know, but
look, I think it's beautiful to study if you want to, and if you're doing it for all the right reason and it fits with you, fantastic. Go ahead and do it. But I don't believe in. I would never do it again. Putting yourself through hell just to stick it out to get the certificate.
Yeah, no,
Not for me.
I think you're a very metaphysical individual like myself, man. Personally, that's, you know, how I observe you. You know, and you have a strong stance in epistemology. You know, knowing your own truth. You know, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I like to learn what I like to learn. I love to learn. And I have, you know, spun the heads of countless PhDs. You know, I mean, really, they just, you know, they do not know what to do with me, man. You know, and I love that. You know, it's just, you know, it's like Einstein said, man. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking it's stupid. So
absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
We all have the areas we shine, you know, and where we don't so much.
Yes.
But you know, people that have spiritual skills have them because they practice them, you know, habitually, man. You know, habit is nothing more than repetition, right? You know, so it's just practice, man. You know, it's a beautiful thing that you're able to do. You know, something so loving and sustain, you know, in this crazy world, for a lack of a better way of putting it, you know. But and I don't think that is a lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah, certainly at the moment, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Interesting times.
So, Jason, tell us about you know, the man, the myth, the legend. You know, going forward. What is you know, where are you going with you know, your spiritual business? You know, your sustainable business as you know, as one in the whole, and what are your intentions? You know, your communal intentions. Are you trying to you know, create yeah, I'm just messing around. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I'm not even gonna finish that thought. You go ahead and jump in there.
Yeah. I could answer that kind of in two parts there. Firstly, on a business sense, I'm looking at you know, very soon opening up a new platform. In fact, two new platforms, because the whole business model that we're currently based on is a lot to do with just YouTube, which is kind of a dangerous game in the business world. To rely on social media to be bringing in income is a very, very skating on thin ice game, right? We've been blessed so far and it's all working well. However, we're opening up our own platforms. And in fact, the first one will be probably open within 2 months from now. And I'm so excited by that because we have put so much work into it over the past over a year, like 18 months or something. It's been a lot of work. So business-wise, we're just sort of beginning to blossom out like that. In terms of the spiritual aspect of myself, or just myself, I'd planned to do a tour this year, to do an Australian tour and then possibly a world tour. Well, that's all off for now. And yeah, it's off. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. It's funny how life works out, because I almost feel like that was not where I was meant to be anyway. So I'm not doing that, but here I am at this beautiful place in South Australia. I'm on the edge of town. It's almost like country. I live in the country out here. It's beautiful. There's nothing much here, but I love it. And I feel more and more at peace within. And last year was a heavy year business-wise. It was very busy, and it put a bit of a toll on me, And I thought to myself, here I am meant to be running a calming, peaceful business, and I was getting stressed. We built the company up and got employees, and I'm like, nah, don't want that. I recognize I don't want that anymore. So now I'm just dropping things down a notch and just really, Derek, just enjoying it piece by piece more, really enjoying the moment. And I said to my business partner actually today, Jamie, I just said, I'm not going back to where I was last year. I said, things have changed. And, if I want to work on helping people be calm and peaceful, I need to work on that full on myself. And so this is what I'm choosing. And it's a really comfort. I feel very comfortable at the moment with it all, whatever happens. Yeah.
Nice. So we are nearing that 60-minute mark at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, I just I wanted to just take a few moments and thank you for being on Small Talk with Devoted, and
thanks.
And I just would also like to tell the viewers to please be sure to check out all of Jason Stephenson's platforms. You will find at the end throughout this video I will have displayed how you can get to Jason's platforms and such. And yeah, man,
thank you, man.
It's just a amazing honor, man, to just know somebody like yourself, and to be able to continually sustain a solid friendship and brotherhood. Really, I feel like you and I just have so much in common, man.
Yeah, pure reflection, man. Just a reflection. That's exactly it. Just a reflection. And I'd like to say to my subscribers, if any of you guys are watching there, hopefully maybe you've made it to this point. Subscribe to young Derek. Subscribe to his Facebook, right? See, I'm giving you a plug, Derek, and you're in it. But
yeah,
no, I mean it too, because I think Derek's I think you're on a pathway, mate. I think you're on the pathway you're meant to be on, in fact, and goodness knows where that's going to lead.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I appreciate everything, and thank everybody for tuning in to Small Talk with Devoted, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace and blessings.